As of many other reviews that I've seen, I'm perplexed at how little time is actually spent reviewing a game. And then when the reviewers give a final score to a game over $130, and when you get the game and invest your time into learning and playing and understanding the game, you find out that it may have been far better or worse. But at the end, their reviews dictated the choice of your purchase, and you felt misled from the lack of proper playtime on the reviewer. Please, people that review games, play a game more than 10 times. Please. I just watched a highly rated board game review, and the viewer in the video admitted that he has not played the game he was reviewing more than 9 times. You know what the worst part of that was? Its playtime for that game that he reviewed was 20 minutes a session. I saw a review of Too Many Bones on a few channels, and after hearing out a few reviewers, I felt that it was a solo cooperative experience that my collection was missing, and I purchased it with a couple expansions. Age of Tyranny, 2 characters, the Mat, and 4 Days of Daylore. But after playing more than 30 times, I started to sense that this game was not at all what I was told, and that it is nowhere as satisfying as many have claimed it to be. I'll start with the best parts of the game first. Components. This game nails the components parts extremely well. I mean, just as good as it gets. Probably as good as you will get from any board game in the industry. Really can't complain about the overall feel of the product. Great dice quality, great dice art, great character sheets, great board feel, and the stitch mat feeling on it. All the cards are made of some kind of good plastic, quality plastic, and the game is waterproof, like somebody once mentioned. But just like with company heroes, great components do not make great games. But if I was to base the game on just component quality alone, it's a 10 out of 10. It's solid components from cleanup, storage, and everything else. The next best thing going for this game is its great sense of character building that you experience right from the get-go. You get a character, and you try to figure out what's best for the character, and you use your skill points wisely. And with many different options, it really feels like the options are limited in the character building aspect of the game. With 4 characters, that is 64 character dice to customize. There's character dice of customizations that you have, and you have a great feeling of freedom exploration when it comes to character building. Each character sheet has a 4x4 grid, and there's 16 dice that you can use skill points to level up on. The last good thing going for this game is how simple it is to move enemy units around the board. It's simple, and after about the 4th round of battle, it clicks, and from there on, the enemy movements is streamlined in many senses. Game goes smoothly. So the question, I guess, is, so what is about this game that caused me to have such a bad rub from it? Well, here's the thing about Too Many Bones. And you will notice it as soon as you start playing the Age of Tyranny campaign. Well, that's when you notice it the most, where you fight through all the tyrants and baddies. And I guess I wouldn't say it gets really boring really fast, but it gets boring. And when it does, it's a buzzkill for the game. Let's start with the characters in the game. Each character has 16 dice for them specifically, and each character has 16 different dice, which all do different things. And they all do something different, or are a better version of another dice. But the problem is, when you play the game with the same character, you start to realize that half the dice options are far superior options compared to the other dice. And when you play with that character, you find out that you'll almost always build a character the same way. The only exception being this, if you fight a tyrant, if you fight a certain tyrant. But other than that, you really will not alter a character build, other than if you're just exploring, not for the sense to win, but just to goof off. But after you play each character 3 times, you realize that it's the same process with just a different tyrant. Or you might change one little thing here, but overall, you're going the same route. It gets really glaring when you do the campaign expansion, where you're stuck playing the same character through all the tyrants. And you literally will be bored of repeating the same build over and over and over and over. If you start playing the game, it feels amazing. But when you actually invest your time into the game, you find that the character creation options are far more limiting than they may seem at first. What about the enemy units? The enemy provides some sense of differences, but they actually, if you really play the game a little more, you realize they actually don't. It's not so much that the enemy units It's not so much the enemy units, but it's the keywords that make the units different. What do I mean? One enemy has the keyword hardy, which means he only takes 1 total damage each attack. Another enemy has the keyword hard-skinned, which means he takes 1 less damage from the total attack. I guess it's different, but really it's not. The enemy units are okay for the game, but you will by game 5 realize just look over the enemy units you'll be fighting and adjust your character build accordingly before you start the game. And by that I mean if you're fighting a unit with break, and break is pretty much if you attack a unit, you lose your attack dice that hit the unit. What you'll do there, what you do is you'll just get 2 skill dice to deal with that keyword, and then you go back to your original build. Over the break, other than break, I can't think of other units needing to change your build for, except if you're fighting a tyrant. But even with a tyrant, you will know. You just read the tyrant card, what the skill is, and you can literally start the game knowing what you need to do before you finish the game. Tyrants are the big bosses in the game, and they normally have a dice they roll as well, and they are just a bigger version of a baddie. How different are they to fight compared to other units? Not that different, other than one tyrant, which caused you to lose. Like, I remember there's one tyrant that would keep. I can't think of his name, but every time you play against him, if he rolls this one key thing on his dice, you have to lose one of your skill sets, not your skill dice, but one of your either your health, your attack, your dexterity, or defense. You have to remove that dice. So other than that, tyrant, which you have to focus more on skills, all the other tyrants do get really boring to fight. I mean, after 3-4 times, it's really boring. And then here's another problem with the game. The combat area is just a simple yet unentertaining combat mat. It's a 4x4 that you fight. You might say it's not that bad, but my counter argument is, if it is good, why did Cheap 3 Games not use the same map layout for the new Hoplomachus game? Because in Hoplomachus, they clearly see the maps have been totally redone with certain set pieces to make each map have certain key aspects that are engaging. In Too Many Bones, you have one map, and it's not even a map, it's just a 4x4 grid. There's nothing about the combat area that needs to be processed when you play the game, other than where the 4 baddies come out on the initiative order and what they're going to be doing the first turn. Other than that, the combat layout is just out of reach, out of touch. Character sheets are then each in this game. There's also like these character sheets you read, and you kind of figure out more information about the character. And those sheets are very hard to follow. I mean, if you want to play a 4-player game with new people and with a new character, you'll be reading for a bit and having large moments of pause as you figure out how certain dice work and when they trigger with each character. It's not as bad as character creation or enemies, but the sheets are not the best design. Many times you'll have to refer to online forums for answers to character dice, causes a large amount of variations. But here's the thing, by default, I can't get upset about that. But be aware that if it happens every game when you play a new character, and even after you play the character a few times, you will still have to go online to look up certain situations because of the amount of keywords involved in Too Many Bones. What makes this game even less enjoyable is the event deck. And it's doing its best to be different and to add flavor to the game. But just like character sheets or the baddies, you just start skipping the text and getting to 2 or 3 options that you have to do. It has nothing to the backstory or in any way makes the game more engaging. It's just, you pick up the card, what am I going to get? What's the option? What do we need? And you do it. And this is where it gets even more stranger to say, but when you beat a tyrant, it feels like as though you just did another mission and now the game's over. I even have the 40 Days of Daylor, and it didn't help much in mixing the game up or adding more engagement or more wanting to be part of this game. A game can be complex and require investment, but it should be more and more rewarding to play, and you should feel like you're opening up more possibilities through every playthrough. And this game does the opposite. Here's what I mean. Every time I have played Mage Knight, I feel like it feels like an adventure, and the world is alive, and you're finding the best approach to situations in front of you. Whether it's going to the castle or going to the monastery. It's just the map layout. The whole time you feel like you're literally engaged in adventure, and the story's unfolding as you play it. Now, I haven't played Mage Knight 30 plus times. I have to be fair with that. So maybe Mage Knight's opinion might change after play it more. And maybe I should play Mage Knight 30 times, more plus times. But Too Many Bones, you look at a Tyrant. When you start the game, what you're going to do is you're going to look at a Tyrant. You're going to fight. You look over the enemies that are involved in the Tyrant deck. And then you shuffle them up. You get the decks ready. And you just say to yourself, okay, I'm fighting this enemy, so I'll just need to adjust my character build like this. And that's it. That's literally the game. Like, there's no exploration. It's just, okay, I know what's coming up. I know what to expect. And that's kind of it. And Age of Tyranny, it's proven even more because some of the campaign missions, events start you like day 3 or day 4 of the mission. Would normally start on day 1, and it doesn't feel any worse or better. You don't go, oh, day 4, this is gonna be more of a challenge. You go, whatever. You know what I mean? It is what it is, and that's kind of what I mean. There's no like engagement. This game is probably the best experience you'll have when it comes to I guess the best way to say it is when it comes to like a honeymoon experience or an infatuation. It hits all the buttons at first, but once you're more engaged in the relationship with the game, you realize how repetitive the relationship is and how little excitement you get out of spending more time in that relationship. I have not played this game in a bit, and it's sad because I spent over $250 for what I have, and it's not worth $200 gameplay. It just is not. I don't want to seem like I hate this game. I don't. It's a great introductory game for someone who's looking to join and learn a more involved game for group. But it's not a game that becomes better the more playthroughs you have with it. Maybe this is because it's not competitive, but here's the problem. I found Gloomhaven far more engaging, and that game is a cooperative game as well. Cooperative solo game. So where do I put the game at? Chip 3 Game is releasing an expansion for this game soon on GameFound, and I realized I never actually reviewed this game or gave it a score after playing it for so much. And so I thought, I'd put it together right now and give it a score. But if I was to play this game less than 10 times, it would be an 8 out of 10. Probably even a little higher. But after 30-some playthroughs, you find that it's no longer a game of choice. But here's the thing. It's just Cloudspire has had the opposite effect. The more we play it, the more we find it engaging and rewarding. So after 30 plus playthroughs, this game is, in my honest feeling, it's like a 5. It's like it's sitting in that shelf there, and it's like I don't want to set it up and play it. The only time I would do it is if a friend comes over and they're like, "Hey, show me a game that's not really complex, but that's going to be, give me a kind of ability to customize things." I would say, "Hey, maybe you should try Too Many Bones." But if somebody came in and say, "Hey, let's play a game that we can come back to week after week, and that's going to get more and more and more, discovery to it," I would definitely say, not Too Many Bones. I'd definitely say, "Hey, look at a Cloudspire," or something that sort. Its only saving grace is that the characters, and that they keep releasing new characters. But even they don't fix the issues. It only slows down the sinking ship. And here's the problem. One character for Too Many Bones is now $30. $30 is almost a great used game. Actually, for $30, I actually purchased Star Wars Outer Rim 2 weeks ago. And it's far more greater replayability than a single character for a game that is unengaging. It does a lot of aesthetic things right and simplifies the enemy movements. It does provide character creation and such, but it gets less and less appealing the more you play it. And that is a shame. If you don't own it, I would find a friend who has it and play it with them instead of purchasing your own copy. My only exception would be, and this is, I thought about, well, who would buy this game? This kind of sounds strange, but my only exception would be if you don't play games often, but you're looking for a simpler, I wouldn't say simple, but like not heavy, but like a medium, simple co-op / solo board game. You're not going to play it much though. That I would say, hey, maybe at that point I recommend getting it, but then you're spending a lot of money for something you don't get to play as much. But if you play it more than 10 times, you will start to see what was mentioned a little bit more clearly. But yeah, that's just the review of the game. Hope you guys out, and those of you who are looking to get the crowdfunding of the game, I am personally not going to do it. The core of the game is just not there. I would rather honestly just spend that money getting like a whole nother solo. Like I would probably, honestly, I'd rather just get Not Gloomhaven. What is that? Jaws of the Lion. Because I think that would be more engaging. But thanks so much, guys, for watching.